Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcast from Space Age, where we continue our adventures on Gleba. Thank you for all the support. If you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe for me on this one, that would be great. I'm a bit ahead now. I've got episodes in the bank. So if you leave a comment and I don't get to it in the next episode, I'll probably be able to get to it in the episode after, but I got some episodes in hand. Alright, without any further ado, let's jump straight into it, shall we? Alright, this was the situation as we left it. Now, what happened is I made a lasagna. In real life. I cooked the lasagna, I ate the lasagna, it was delicious. I came upstairs, I recorded, got started with Gleba, that was the Gleba episode. And I feel like I half-arsed it, alright? I feel like we got stuff done. The next day when I booted it up in the cold light of day, I wasn't full of pasta. I'd had a good night's rest, you know. I booted this up and I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I actually freaking hate this. I had all these ideas for Gleba in my mind, you know, I was theory crafting it. Oh, my second playthrough, I'll make builds that look like this, builds that are a bit more easy to use and modular and stuff. And this ain't it, is it? Let's be honest, this ain't it. If I do a third playthrough and I come back to Gleba, what have I got here? Nothing. I got nothing. So if you permit me a small moment here, I have a bit of a present for you. Here we go. Modular and in theory foolproof blueprints. Now these will change. This was the first iteration of some of these. There's a few edge cases that I hadn't quite accounted for. But most of the blueprints fall into this. Let me just very quickly open my drawing tool, because I forgot to open my drawing tool. There we go. Most of the designs will fall into this philosophy of belts that just loop around. I picked the worst colour in the world there. Belts that will loop around, have an inside lane and an outside lane, have an output through the middle that you move on, and a lane on the very far outside for spoilage. Because of course, on Gleba, as we all know, and this is why it gives everyone such a headache, is that there are so many things that might happen, so many things that might go wrong. This might spoil, this might spoil, this might spoil. It's extremely complicated. So here's the bioflux. This one changes quite substantially over the next few iterations as I build more parts of the base. But this is the bioflux. This makes not much bioflux, but that's because it needs quite a lot of your Mako Mash in. But this is fine. This makes some bioflux. This makes your Mako Mash at 80% of a belt. And that's because what I've decided to do is I've decided to have my seed output just go on the same belt and be split off here, rather than having another output just for seeds, or like, yeah, have this inserter do the spoilage and the seeds. You know, I've tried to make it as foolproof as possible. So like, output that you want in the middle, spoilage through the middle, sure. If the spoilage ends up on the bus, then whatever. And then you only need 4 biolabs to make the equivalent amount, 80% of a green belt of jelly. Everything's got circuit networks on it to keep it moving. This side loads onto the thing, so it just fills the gaps. The nutrients on the inside, the spoilage goes on the outside. Heating towers to get rid of excess spoilage, nutrient production, backup nutrient production to kickstart things. This is very important to realise that you can make nutrients from spoilage in an assembler, so you don't, if the whole thing goes dark, you can kickstart it from nothing, as long as you've got some spoilage on the belt. And then down here we've got modular production for iron ore. Again, with lots of fail-safes and things. And these designs will change as we fast forward through time, ever so slightly. But the final iteration will be in the blueprint book for you in the description below. I'll put them in episode 13 because, as I say, I kind of half-arsed it last time. So, but don't worry, it's fine. And then the rocket fuel, which is just been backed up a little bit, and then the bus with the bioflux, the jelly, and the Yamako mash. Now, of course, on Gleba it's difficult to know if everything's working 100% until you've got everything finished, because if your bus just terminates here, then you have a whole bunch of spoilage, or you've got very old jelly here that's turned into spoilage, and so that needs dealing with before you can, do everything from scratch. So, yeah. But this is much better. This is, of course, much better. So then this means, if we need more Yamako mash, another belt of Yamako mash, we just have that, We'd have to plug in another tree farm somewhere, but, we've got it. This is so much better than what I had before. And, obviously, now, when I come to Gleba on a completely new playthrough, I've got this stuff. Don't have to redesign it all from scratch. Don't have to reinvent the wheel. So for all intents and purposes, this is the same situation we left it in last time. Mash, jelly, bioflux, copper or iron ore, but in a much rocket fuel, but in a much nicer, cleaner way. So I hope you enjoy this. I had a really good time designing it, to be fair. I don't mind these kind of things at all, and I think that comes from my experience with the Zachtronics puzzle games, the programming puzzle games, Space Chem, Magnum Opus, etc. I really, really, really love those games. And this is a challenge, kind of reminds me of that. Lots of edge cases that you have to plan for. And not without the luxury of just bunging it into a purple logistics chest and letting the robots sort it out. We already used that get out of jail free card on Fulgora. Fulgora eventually breaks because at some point, for some unknown reason, I managed to remove this set of pipe. We're not doing any research at the moment, but at some point I start doing some more infinite research, and I noticed that Fulgora science just stopped because we had lots of supercapacitors, but then once all the supercapacitors ran out, we weren't making any more because this pipe had gone. So, yeah. Forgiveness, please. Alright, so now that we're all caught up, let's crack on. So put the real smelting columns in. These inserters really should have a filter to just grab actual iron ore. So this first chest has the iron bacteria, and then as the iron bacteria spoils into iron ore, it goes into this chest, and then these chests output that onto the belt. It's not the end of the world, but, that means that you probably might have a bunch of iron bacteria at the top here that isn't doing anything. So we've got the smelting columns. Rocket fuel is completely free and abundant on Gleba, so do not worry about using rocket fuel for things that in vanilla Factorio you would start ringing alarm bells. This is 1 rocket fuel a second. That is the equivalent of 12 assembly machine 3s, which is 10 solid fuel a second, 10 light oil a second. 10 solid fuel a second would be another 100 light oil a second, so it's the equivalent of 110 light oil a second. Plus, I mean, not quite, because obviously you've got the productivity bonus, but so it is completely free and abundant. Do not worry about being weird and using rocket fuel to fuel stone furnaces and steel furnaces. I've decided to do this rather than electric furnaces just because, if you're using electric furnaces, then you have to burn the rocket fuel anyway to make the power for it, and yeah, and we're not worried about productivity or anything like that. So I'm just doing it like this, and mostly because I don't have red circuits yet, because of course I am doing the stupid thing of making everything on Gleba rather than bringing stuff in. I've added the plastic module back in, it's just the same design as this, just the same design as the rocket fuel module, but it gets the bioflux in and your Mako mash in. Of course we need a better system for the spoilage, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And obviously there's a few edge cases here for things that are stalling. Little things like just adding in spoiled nutrients from spoilage here on these machines helps quite a lot. Why did I pick yellow inserters? Because I don't have any blue inserters and I don't have... Yeah, we're running out of stuff, basically. Finally running out of all of the things that... Yeah, this moves as well. But anyway, you'll see. So, the smelting is in. The smelting works. This can make 20 copper ore a second, but it'll go in like fits and starts, right? You'll make lots of ore and then you won't need any ore for a bit, and then you'll make lots of ore and then you won't need any ore for a bit, and that's even true when you start launching rockets. You know, you'll launch a couple of rockets, then nothing will be needed for a bit. So I've tried to build things roughly at ratio, but I've not really worried too much about it. Is the frame rate alright? Yeah, sorry, my OBS preview window just looked a bit weird, that's all, but I think it does look a bit weird. So yeah, so you can see here there's clearly some edge cases that are just not working. One of which is probably... Oh, that's right, yeah, so adding nutrients into this isn't really a good idea. It's best to just put the nutrients onto the belt directly. I thought if I add nutrients to this, then that will be fine. But most of the problem at the moment is that we're making too much bioflux and we're not using it all, which is a problem that gets solved. But that is another reason why Gleba is a bit of a headache, because your machine is either working at 100% or it's not working at all, basically. And if it's not working at all, then things are turning into spoilage, and then it's not a fair test. Yeah, so we're planning through some of the other researches now, just to get it all done and out of the way. We want nothing but infinite researches on the tech tree eventually, so we may as well do this. The other planets are totally fine. I don't think anything has changed on these other planets at all. Still bringing in calcite from the Vulcaner shuttle. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So I've added steel production to the smelting column. And now we have a bus, basically. Copper, iron, steel, and then rocket fuel's already on the bus. And we've run out of electricity. Plastic's on the bus. And then I've set up the mall as well. So this is the mall from episode 3, but with a few things taken out. So obviously we don't need belt production here, we don't need miner production, but we do need power poles, we do need assemblers, we do need inserters, etc, etc. So it's a bit different, but it's mostly the same. So we run out of power. And that's probably because we were just feeding rocket fuel into a... we were just hand feeding rocket fuel into a chest that was by the heat exchangers. That's easily fixed. Well, except we need to kickstart it because the inserter has run out of fuel as well. There we go. So we're not using that much power at the moment, but we can obviously do better than this. And now we've got the rocket fuel going up the side here. I've sort of given myself this space to put turbines and stuff down, but we've got them all for that now, so we can also build turbines, heat exchangers, and heat pipes in the mall, which I already have. So it's just be a very simple job of, why aren't you getting anything? Because there's no steel, because you for some reason have got iron gear wheels in your hand. So I'm just going to put like a heating tower within range of the bus, the rocket fuel bus, and some heat exchangers and some turbines. So one heat exchanger will make... That was not the right place for that. So one heat exchanger will make 103 steam a second. Good one. Will make 103 steam a second, which is not enough steam to supply... It's too much steam to supply just the one, but not enough steam to supply two. So if you also feed the steam through, because the turbines are smart enough, right, to only use what they need to use at the time. They won't just they won't just consume all the steam and turn it into energy that hasn't got anywhere to go. It will only use what it needs to. So you can use storage tanks as like a quasi-accumulator. So when the excess steam that your factory is not using will go into storage tanks, and then if you need a quick burst of energy for some reason, this steam will be consumed. So this does not make enough for this, but it will. We're using not enough power at the moment to fill this battery up. And obviously we don't really need to worry or think about the fact that the steam stays steam in that tank forever without any intervention. Speaking of things ticking over like that, we should probably have a look at the Covarex from last time. The 100% foolproof design was not 100% foolproof, because I forgot that eventually, once this belt starts getting full of uranium-235, it will still go onto the outside here and come in like this. And so then there was uranium-235 shiny green on the outside of the belt, which is not what we wanted. But with this one small change, doctors hate him, this one small fix, we are now stockpiling shiny uranium, and it's all good. So I've obviously put the request back here to start making the fuel cells again. But we didn't even hit the 50 that we were short. Those have gone back into the main mall, and they'll be requested as and when needed. I suppose what I could do, is just quickly kick them out of the mall by putting a purple chest down. This is my favourite trick. Just kick them out of the mall. Purple chest turns that into a provider chest, active provider chest, which then all the logistics robots have to clear. And then because we've set a logistics filter over here on this one, this is where the uranium fuel cells go. They will come over here. That's my favourite trick for sorting out the logistics mall, which of course you can do in crazy ways, like this. So if there's anything you're worried about in these chests that need to go, you would rather have stored here, you can do this absolute monstrosity. And yeah, sure, some of it might just go into these boxes, but anything that can in fact go into the mall will go into the mall. It's a weird way of doing it, but I like it. I think it's funny. I like to keep the robots busy. Okay. The other important thing on Gleba is that the actual production of the science packs is very cheap. The challenge on Gleba is getting everything up and running, but then when it comes to actually making the science packs, you need pentapod egg and you need the bioflux. You need the nutrients for that, but beyond that, it's actually very easy. So as long as you've got enough stuff going on here, rocket fuel, plastic, steel, iron, copper, which you can turn into steel, you only need the bare minimum of production to get rockets launched, if you choose to do it like this. So we only need to use a few blueprints here from the old blueprint book. We need the first advanced circuits one. Oh my god, why do I never remember the buttons? We need the first advanced circuits one. We need to turn those advanced circuits into processing units, so we do need some sulfuric acid. We need some low density structures, but we've got everything for that. And we've already got the rocket fuel anyway. So it will, in fact, be very simple. In theory. It was very simple. I've put another utility blueprint in the utilities book of the thing that just turns every belt to green. So if you're using these blueprints, some of which are on yellow belts, some of which are on red belts, not used a blue belt yet, this will turn everything into green. So if you plop one of these down, just because I don't like just this will work with the upgrade planner, but of course it will then pick things like your yellow inserters, your Mark II assembly machines, where you don't necessarily need that. Just want the belts done. Okay, so we've got sulfuric acid production going as well. Sulfuric acid you get from sulfur, which you get from biosulfur recipe, which needs the spoilage. So now what happens is when at the termination of the bus, the very last splitter just sends the spoilage on. And so then the spoilage goes into this chest. Some of the spoilage goes into this chest. Some of the spoilage gets turned into nutrients, which gets turned into more nutrients from this, which gets turned into spoilage. Like I'm using this nutrient from Bioflux as also a spoilage farm. And this does need a little bit of a tweak, but I do eventually find the optimal way to do it, because now there's no way to get the this with nutrients in. So at one point I had this as don't output more nutrients if there's loads of spoilage in here, because we want spoilage, but we don't want loads of it. But if it's turned into spoilage, then we need nutrients, so maybe try the other way around. If there's no nutrients in this chest, turn this you can work and turn into nutrients. But then that means that if you don't need any more sulfur, you're making loads and loads and loads of nutrients. That's turning into spoilage, and then this chest will just be full of spoilage, but you don't need any of the spoilage for this, and then this will get backed up, and then, you know, you get a whole bunch of other headaches. And the other thing I forgot at the time when I designed this bit is that the unique resource from Gleba is the carbon fibre, which needs carbon and Yumako mash, can only be made. Well, that's not true. It can be made elsewhere, but it can only be made in a biolab, so you may as well make it here anyway, because there's no way you're getting Yumako mash somewhere. You could get the Yumako, I suppose. These have a spoilage time of 1 hour, so I suppose you could do this somewhere else. But you need the carbon, and you can get carbon from burning spoilage as well, so there's not really much danger of overflowing on spoilage. So yeah, the sulfur comes up the bus. Here's where I put the heating towers and stuff, and the battery. These inserters are just set on a simple condition for when the temperature drops below 600 degrees to add more rocket fuel, but you can see that that is not causing a problem. We are using just over 10 megawatts. We're making sulfuric acid, which is going into the processing units after advanced units are made. Now, of course, we don't really have a lot of green circuits at the moment. I am denied about bringing over electromagnetic plants to make this all a bit more efficient, but I decided against it purely because I didn't want to risk going too hog wild with power consumption, because this uses a mere 155 kilowatts with a minimum consumption of 5 kilowatts if you fill it with efficiency modules. This will use 2 megawatts with a minimum consumption of 66 kilowatts if you fill it with efficiency modules. So that is like night and day, and I just thought, it's fine. Once this all backs up, we won't really need that much. I will at one point work out exactly how much processing units, rocket fuel and low density structures you need to consistently launch one rocket. So just having one rocket silo going all of the time. So by the time the rocket is launched, because I don't know if you know this, you probably do, in Factorio 2.0 there was a change whereby the doors don't need to close anymore. So if this second rocket progress bar is full, then the doors won't close. The second rocket will just be queued immediately for launch. And then another rocket will be being built in the background. So I will work out, or I'll just Google it, how much of each resource you need to just have that constantly going, and then maybe do some blueprints around that, you know, enough processing units to do one rocket silo for exactly that. The The rocket silo itself does have some quality bonuses on it, but only crafting speed, like not productivity, thankfully. So if I just design it around a basic rocket silo for now, but assume like prod module 2s, I'll do something like that eventually. Anyway, so we've got... The only thing we need is low density structures, but that is extremely easy to plop down. What episode did we do those in? 6. It's extremely easy to plop in. Go that way, please. Somewhere like... I don't know. This, I guess. And then upgrade everything to green belts. Green belts was definitely overkill. I definitely did not need to do that. And we'll bring... What I'm going to do is I am not setting up an entire production chain to make electric engine units just to get 400 of them to make the rocket silo. I could. You need to turn jelly into lubricant, and then you just need to make some engine units and some electric engine units. I'm going to save myself an hour of waiting around for 400 engine units to be made in a Mark II assembler. Yeah. And just bring them in. Just bring them in on the shuttle, you know? Just ask this shuttle to bring me the engine units. I've got the steel, I've got the concrete, I've got the pipes, I've got the processing units. I'll just bring 400 electric engine units in and make 2 rocket silos, okay? Like, I'm sorry. Apologies if that is not in the spirit of the challenge. This arbitrary challenge I've set for myself, but it is what it is. Okay. So the concrete is being done. Some concrete is being done. At one point, I don't think I spoke about it, I also started making bricks down here. Ah, some prod module 2s as well. Special delivery. 400 engine units and prod module 2s. I started making bricks here on this site as well, just so that I had some bricks to make concrete, because I knew I was going to need some concrete eventually. And bricks also go into the steel furnaces, so that's when I did that. Right, so we can make a rocket silo and we can start launching rockets, and we're done. Well, we're not actually done because we need to make the science. But you can see here the bus. I'm going to sort of set myself another weird arbitrary challenge, and that is I'm not going to put a construction robo network down here. I'm not going to put down my foolproof starter malls to make roboports, assembly machines, etc., because I want to have faith that these things work. And if they don't work and I have to come back here and fix it, then that will teach me a lesson. But, by the same token, I did open the editor mode for some testing. So obviously, this was some other map thing I was doing in another playthrough for a separate video idea I had, so I was force charting the map just to see things. Yeah, editor still is completely locked, as you will see. I've not used it for actual purposes, but I used it for testing purposes to speed the game up to see if anything crashed. And nothing did crash. So now that we're actually using the biofuel properly, we're doing it like that. We got rid of the heating tower backup spoilage removal thing. Move the bioflux to nutrients things up the top here so that it was feeding nutrients into closer to the first one that would take it. Same with this. Got rid of the heating tower spoilage thing here and just going to turn the spoilage directly into nutrients should we have any overflow. So that now we're not having lots of overflow, that's the thing, right? Because now we're actually using everything at a decent speed. Most things are not turning into spoilage on the belt, they are in fact being consumed. You can see that there is a problem with actually making enough Yamako. Even upping this constant number to 500 and say you can keep working as long as there's not more than 500 fruit on the belt, it's just not keeping up. Thankfully that's easily fixed by just adding another system to that there, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, we can start. We need steel and we need processing units. I'll just get this done, you know, just whatever. And 200 processing units. So yes, sorry I didn't make the electric engine units here on Gleba. Sorry. Yeah, so I am going to also not bother setting up a logistics more, so that's why I'm terminating the bus on certain items. The iron, I wasn't quite sure if I would bring the iron through, but iron is strange, goes into electronic circuits, goes into the mall that is basically useless to me now. And then it doesn't get used again, never get hurt again. Copper goes into the low density structures, the red circuits basically just go into here. Like this actual putting it on the bus thing is irrelevant. So it might be worth really having an all-in-one blueprint for electronic circuits into processing units, but whatever, we'll see. And yeah, that's it. So really, like, to just get the products you need to launch a rocket, providing you have the research, it's not much to it. I'm going to build 2 rocket silos, because why not? And the productivity modules just to 12 a minute of everything. It's 57 a minute, 64 a minute. May have gone overboard here. May have gone a bit overboard here. Okay, so we actually now need to just make the... We will need a few logistics robots because that is the only way to automate sending stuff to space. But if I just do some logistics robots, which I can do now that I've got the... Oh no, I'd have to make batteries. Okay, I'll bring flying robot frames in as well. Haha, he's cheating now. He's basically just cheating. Okay, we need some more eggs to kickstart Gleba science. I used up all my eggs making biochambers. So we need some more eggs to kickstart Gleba science, because you need 1 pentapod egg and 1 bioflux. Eggs make more eggs, of course, so you need 1 at least to start the process. So I've made the shotgun and some shotgun shells. This was the only nest I could find. It has a strafer protecting it. They're annoying, but they're not insurmountable. So, yeah, sorry, violence is about to ensue. There we go. Oh god, oh god! Killed the first small strafer pentapod at 54 hours 21 minutes. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on Gleba, but that's mostly because I had to tear it down and build it again, because I wasn't happy with it, even though it did functionally work. It's me being a perfectionist, I suppose. Here are the 2 rocket silos, ready to go. 150 logistics robots in the system ready to go, and here is the design for the science. I ummed and ahed about this for a long time, about processing productivity modules, ratios and stuff. I've overbuilt this, right, so this is 125 per minute, which is way beyond any of the other ones that we're doing at the moment. 72 per minute. Not actually researching anything, because obviously of the spoilage mechanic. So even the Gleba science has a spoilage timer, 1 hour. The more that spoilage timer has ticked down when it arrives to a lab, the less it's actually worth. So it's worth overproducing it. It does feel bad when Gleba science rots into spoilage. You know, it's like the culmination of everything you've been doing on here just to have it get burnt in a heating tower. But you have to remember that it's all completely infinite and free. Like, now I've put the extra heating, the extra agricultural tower here, just split the seeds off. Finally had enough seeds to start warrant burning them. Seeds are extremely good for that, by the way. So yeah, just doubled this up basically. Same circuit condition with everything, but just split this here. So this is still reading the main belt. The seeds are still going into the towers as a priority, and then going into a chest, and then becoming burnt when that chest is full. But you need a lot more Yamako mash than jelly. So this one is still totally fine. We have lots of seeds, and it's obviously good to stockpile the seeds because you need the seeds to make the soil. Right, anyway, we're getting distracted. So if you put just one egg in the top ones, they make more eggs than they produce, so we'll just chain the eggs together. We just need some nutrients. And, what have I... Oh, the water! Oh my goodness me! Where am I going to get water from? Let's go this way and hope for the best. I think we did it. I think we got away with it. Okay. And the elbow. Always forget the elbow, 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 elbow. Right, now what? Not enough bioflux because this is all spoilage because it's been sat here for ages when I was testing it. Okay. That's also very irritating. Please work. Please respond. Nutrients, because this is all just spoilage still, for God's sake. Right. There we go. Thank you. Got rid of all the spoilage from the machine. So this is actually a completely separate bioflux thing, so I've just taken the Yumako Mash Jelly split thing here and just put it in half, because this won't be enough if everything's running full pelt by just a little bit. Like, this whole system needs slightly more than half a belt of Yumako Mash, but as you can see, this bioflux is not all being used. Once the rocket fuel and the plastic backs up, then a lot of your bioflux need from here goes away. 336 saved, and then the same with the ore as well. 418 minutes saved once you need the ore. Oh, I missed it! I missed it! Oh, no. It's done. It's done. You should probably be a stack inserter. That would probably help things quite a lot. Excess spoilage from this side of the belt gets burnt. Anything that turns into spoilage in this chest gets burnt. So you need a lot of nutrients from this. Like, this plant makes so much nutrient. 59 a second, so I've done 4 stack inserters. Sorry, they're called bulk inserters now. I'm sorry, 4 bulk inserters. To saturate a belt. Excess nutrients go to feed these plants. That is enough nutrient. It's more eggs than you need, ever so slightly, which of course is a danger because when the eggs spoil, they spoil into enemies. But that's why I've got 5 gun turrets here. And then I will literally... what they spoil into are so weak and pathetic. Like, it's just a simple case of making some ammo somewhere. Basic firearm ammo doesn't even need to be any more magical than that. Whoops. It's irritating. Whatever. It still doesn't work. Alright, it's ugly. It's just going to have to look ugly. It's funny that yellow inserters don't quite manage to pick up item off the belt. Power is not a problem. It's not that they're low power. I thought they would. I thought they said that this would not be a problem. It is funny though. Right. So obviously not 100% done because we need to send some of this Gleba science back and get carbon fibre done. We can make efficiency module 3s on Navi, so we don't need to worry about that. But we do need to get carbon fibre researched and then build that here with the carbon and the Yumako Mash. So we're not leaving Gleba just yet, but we can at least start sending the science back and making sure everything on Navis works in regards to producing the science. And there it is. No drama at all. Going to make these blue belts now, just because I can. So we'll research carbon fibre. It's only 500, thankfully. All 2,000 made it on the ship without spoiling. Set up a simple request here to kick the spoilage out. On the redesign of this, I will probably make the Gleba shuttle just throw the spoilage into space, but it's not of no value to bring it from... to just have some, because as I say, it needs to go into electric efficiency module Mark 3s and something else it goes into that you can make anywhere. Carbon. Though you do need to make that in a biochamber, so... Oh, an agricultural tower if we want to grow trees on Nalvis for some reason. Which you can do. Not sure why you would. Some sort of pollution sink, I suppose. Okay. Also on Gleba, while I was waiting for the science to be done, I did this silly little thing. Why aren't you doing the thing that I want you to do? That makes more sense. So just every 100 science packs turn another one of these lights on, and these lights are just on a simple red, add a bit of green until you get to orange and yellow, and then take away a bit of red until you get to green. That's a very simple way of making a nice gradient scale like that. I don't know, that's the quality content you come here for. Just so that I can see at a glance if there's more than 1,000 in this. And it works! Flawlessly. A few more redesigns over here of some things. Grabbing the bioflux. Grabbing any spoilage on this bioflux line here helps a little bit, just in case things get clogged up with spoilage. Same here. This works. This is mostly fine. Of course, your bioflux does have to come in from the top, but that's why these are all sort of in a line. So this is all good. A few minor tweaks down here, I believe. Just in terms of, you know, the kind of numbers that you have when, you know, if you want to add more nutrients to the belt. You obviously don't want this to be full of nutrients, because then they spoil and then you're wasting stuff. Not that wasting things is really an issue, but it's more about just the speed of things working. Same here. This one. A lot of spoilage will happen here just because of the fact that we're full of rocket fuel and plastic now. So I've got one here that's adding extra nutrients to the belt just to make sure that we always got some nutrients on the belt to kickstart this inserter, to kickstart this biolab should this nutrient spoil. But I was finding that was still too much spoilage on the belt while the rocket fuel on the plastic was backed up. So I've just added another heating tower here. I'll probably change this again in the next episode to repurpose this spoilage into making the carbon to make the carbon fibre. So this is just a temporary solution for now. But let me show you what I was playing around with. Double open the editor mode. Speed time up, 64 times speed. Can't quite get to 64 times speed anymore because of the amount of stuff that's going on, but updates per second are on about 300. So we're on about 5 times speed, effectively. 5, 6 times speed. Get up to 300. Get to 600, 700 EPS if it's not doing all the graphics. So we'll just queue up some of these just to keep the science going. 650 UPS, rockets being launched. Jumps up during an autosave. Still working. Still working. This turret has killed something, so an egg must have spoiled, but that's fine. You expect that every now and then, just because we're making... Oh, I rejigged the numbers for this, so it should, in theory, be the exact right number of eggs. By just adding efficiency modules to this to decrease the amount of science packs it's just making. So we're now on... well, sorry, we're up to 155, so we're making more science packs, it's just less productive. Just to get those extra eggs being used. Still working... Just go into remote view just so that I'm not moving at snail's pace. Still working, still working. So I'm pretty sure I left this to do like an hour. So this playtime mod here I have installed just to, so for your benefit more than anything, you see how long these things are taking me. Just because I don't want anyone to feel pressured that they're not doing things quickly enough, I want you to see that like I make a design and it's taken me literally 4 hours. But that's probably because I've got like a YouTube tab open on my second monitor and I'm not really paying 100% attention. My tea's gone cold. Okay, so as I say, I'm pretty confident that it all now works flawlessly, does not need human intervention, shouldn't break if we go away. We can now just leave this to its own devices. So there we go, we've researched all of this. Let's just keep ploughing through stuff. The one we actually really want is advanced asteroid processing, then we can redesign the shuttles. I don't know for sure, obviously. I would have to leave this running for like 12 hours to be 100% sure. But if I have to come back to Gleba at some point to fix something, then that's funny and I will do that. So I think Gleba's done. I think Gleba is sorted, except for the carbon fibre, but we'll do that in the next episode. I will put all of these designs into the blueprint book for you. I hope they're of some use to you. I've not plugged anything yet on this channel, but of course, if you do like the blueprints and you want to buy me a coffee, my coffee link is in the description. But don't feel like you have to, it's all totally fine. It's just I like drinking coffee, so, you know, I will definitely spend it on coffee. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment. And if you want to see more broadcasts from Space Age, be sure to subscribe. Other than that, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!